Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. So today's topic is writing a perfect English sentence part 2. I hope all of y'all have gone through part 1 and understood the basics of writing a perfect English sentence. If you haven't, I would suggest please go back and check out part 1. I'll leave a link of it in the description box of this video. Please go back, watch the entire video and come back here and watch part 2, so that you are able to understand the basics and advanced level of writing a perfect English sentence. So, a brief recap of what all we looked into in part 1. So, firstly, we saw why sentence structure matters. We also looked into the right order of words in a sentence, that is, we understood the subject, verb, and object parts of a sentence. We looked into fragments, that is nothing but the incomplete sentences. We identified how finding the subject, finding the verb, and checking danger words can help us improve our sentence writing abilities. Now, before moving on, a brief kind request to all of y'all to kindly hit the subscribe button and don't forget to turn on the notifications by hitting on the bell icon right next to the subscribe button. If you fail to do so, you might not receive notifications of our future videos. So I'll be glad if you all can do this right away. Now moving on with our video here. So as discussed in part 1, we identified that every sentence or most of the sentences have something called as objects. Now there can be two parts to it. There can be something called as direct object and there can be something called as indirect object. Now in general, direct objects are the ones that have a stronger or a direct connection with the subject. And on the other hand, your indirect object is something that has a weaker connection or an indirect connection with the subject. We'll look at this with the help of an example. I bought some flowers for my mother. So, if you have gone through part 1, I'm sure you'll be able to identify the subject here. Yes, the subject here is I. So, I has performed a task. So, I has bought flowers for his or her mother. So in this case, we see there are two objects or two parts of the sentence that come out as objects. We have flowers and mother. So in this case, since the subject I is performing the action directly on the object flowers, flowers is considered as the direct object. But because we have another object here, which is mother, we consider this as the indirect object. So this is how you can identify the direct and indirect objects in a sentence. Now moving on to the aspects that you should consider when writing sentences. So there are 4 parts which you should be careful about when framing sentences, and doing these or performing these aspects properly will ensure that what you output as a sentence will be perfect in every sense. So the first thing that you should pay attention to is something called as compound sentences. Next, we have something called as run-on sentences. We have subject-verb agreement, and lastly, we'll look into parallel structure. So let's look at each of them individually here. So firstly, we'll look at compound sentences. Now, when we have a sentence and there are phrases or clauses, or say 2 or more clauses which are merged together, we get something called as compound sentences. So ideally, when we have clauses in a sentence, we make use of a conjunction to merge them. So say 2 halves of a sentence are merged into one with the use of a conjunction. So these are nothing but compound sentences. So whenever you identify a sentence that has say 2 halves, make use of a conjunction to form it into one single sentence. So for example, I cooked dinner and my sister cleaned the vessels. So you see, we have 2 clauses here. The first part and the second part of the sentence has been merged with the use of a conjunction here. So this is what talks about compound sentences. Next, we shall look into what are run-on sentences. Now, your run-on sentences are something wherein we end up using punctuation in an inappropriate manner. So an improper use of punctuation can lead to run-on sentences. So there are two cases or two forms of run-on sentences. These are, firstly, we have something called as comma splice. Next, we have something called as lack of punctuation. Now, comma splice is something wherein, say, we have two complete sentences, and instead of separating them with the use of a full stop or a period, you end up using a comma, then it leads to a run-on sentence or an incorrect sentence. So, for example, this particular sentence here, the girl walked home. She decided not to hire a taxi. So you see, the first part of the sentence, that is before the comma, the girl walked home, is one complete sentence in itself. And the second part, that is after the comma, she decided not to hire a taxi, is also a complete sentence. So in such cases, we should ideally make use of a full stop or a period to separate the two sentences and make them individual sentences rather than using a comma. So if you use a comma in such cases, it leads to comma splice or something called as run-on sentences. Now, lack of punctuation is another case of run-on sentences. Lack of punctuation is you do not make use of your semicolon or period or full stop in an appropriate manner. Say, for example, there's a problem with our air conditioner, however, no one is available to fix it. So in this sentence, we haven't made use of any semicolon or comma or a full stop. So you see, the first part, there is a problem with our air conditioner, is a complete sentence in itself. And however, no one is available to fix it is another one. So these two can be considered a independent sentences. So what we could have done here is we could have inserted a semicolon before however followed by a comma after however to make it an accurate complete sentence. Next is something known as subject-verb agreement, and highly essential factor to make your sentences correct in all sense. So a subject-verb agreement is something wherein your subject and verb must agree. So say your subject is singular, then your verb should also be singular. On the other hand, if your subject is a plural, then your verb should also be plural. So in other words, your subject and verb must agree with one another in their tense. So, for example, the group of students are complaining about grades. So, do you think this is satisfying the subject-verb agreement criterion? The group of students are complaining. So, here if you see, the term group is singular and the verb are is plural. So, this is definitely not the correct way of writing the sentence. Now, look at a better way. The group of students is complaining about grades. So the subject group is singular. The verb is singular again. So this is definitely the correct way of writing this sentence. Lastly, we shall look at parallel structure. Although sometimes overlooked, this is definitely a very important aspect that we should pay attention to while writing a sentence. That is, when we have words in a sentence, let them be in a common or parallel form. We'll understand that with the help of an example. He is strong and a tough competitor. Yes, reading this sentence, it definitely appears to be correct, but looking at the parallel structure, it is not. It is not parallel in nature. So if you need to write parallel sentences, this sentence should have been written as he is strong and competitive. So this is how a parallel sentence would look. That is, the different parts of the sentence should match each other in form. So this is the right way of having a parallel sentence. So I hope you have understood all the basics and advanced categories of writing a sentence perfectly. If you have liked this video, please hit the like button and do share it with your friends and family, and leave a comment of what you have liked or what you have not liked in the video. And again, do not forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for notifications. I shall see you in our next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Thank you for watching.